Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to SFR for round number 17 here at Qatar. My name is ILT Indigo, and hopefully you're doing alright tonight. I think it's just me commentating, so you get the pleasure to hear my voice at the whole qualifying session and the race itself. So, business is business on board with our current championship leader, MDJ then. So we'll ride on board with a hot lap around here in Qatar as we head through turn number 1, then back on the throttle immediately, goes to the right hand side to open this corner into 2, hooking in the inside curve there at 2, use the curb on the outside to lean on it as we go through turn 3, flat out corner as we head through the double right hander at turn 4 and turn 5. Let's see if some drivers have managed to learn this trick, and I don't think MDJ has, so some of you know what I'm talking about because this trick is quite helpful indeed, especially on the main straight, but it looks like MDJ hasn't really gone through with it as we make our way now towards turn 7. A bit too much inside curve there, he touched the sausage curves on the entry, so a bit too much rotation on the front end there, but nevertheless still got the car turned in and still managed to not invalidate at the same time by taking too much curb on the inside. So as we remain on board with MDJ coming out of turn 11 as we make our way now towards the triple right hander, a 53.9 in the middle sector for MDJ as he's flying around these fast speed corners here. It should be fully flat out, these are the fast 3-speed corners. It had a slight lift off in one of them as we make our way now towards that left hander, coming towards now the final corner does MDJ. If I remember last season, I think MDJ spun and crashed in the race, so we'll be definitely not looking to do that again here as a championship is on the line for MDJ, who goes to the top of the timing sheets to set a 21.6 as the marker. Just behind us is Simon on his second appearance in SFR as he goes to the top of the timing sheets, instantly replaces MDJ, who goes 6/10 quicker, so good luck time there for Simon. I do believe he was inside the top 10 was Simon, but he had an issue during the race. We're quite sure if he spun or made contact with somebody. His JDM puts his McLaren into P3 there. He's on the medium compound tyres as he usually is, going for that medium compound tyre, trying to save a set of softs for the later stage of qualifying and also for the race. The Sonic Hawk in the Aston Martin goes into P4 with a 25.0. Smoke into P3 with a 21.8 is the Haas driver. Both Haas looking decent this season as both of them managed to get to qualify quite frequently inside that top 10. Can they keep that record up as Zeno goes into P3? He's had a bit of difficult races, but I don't think he knew that there's a car behind him about to start a flying lap as Ramavaj goes into P2 there as the lap tires come thick and fast. So let's see who that AlphaTauri was. There's, I think, Jagermal, who's just crossed the line to go into P2 as backing up my point what I was saying about Hass's here on board with Jargon. So he did get hindered a bit. He picked up a lovely slipstream down that straight, but I wondered, did he cost him any time as he tried to overtake the Ferrari? Hopefully he didn't, as we ride on board with Jargon coming out of turn 6, headed into this right hander at turn number 7 there. But on the steer, will he go wide on the entry? No, he doesn't, as track limits can be very brutal out here indeed. Got to watch out for them in the race. A bit wide at a turn 8 there, didn't really hook it up on the exit, so might have lost a bit of time there. Has a Jargon, a regular podium sitter this season, has Jargon, not got a race win just yet, but he has been struggling in the last few races. He downshifts into 6th gear once again, slight lift off on the edges, make our way down towards the left hander, slide up on the brake, then back on the throttle media. I love this track, it's such fast flowing, so you can see P2 and P3 are relatively close in terms of lap time, separated by 500ths is Jagermal and Ramavaj. Let's see what Jargo could do as he makes his way now towards the line. It's going to be a 21.2 as he puts that AlphaTauri into second place. Just behind us is a Red Bull, a Bear Emi. Where does he go? He goes into P3 with a 21.2. So I think a low 20 will secure you a pole position. I remember when I was doing qualifying around here, I had a 20.2 or 3. So yeah, 7/10 quicker than these guys, who currently is in P1 by Simon. Simon was in the Alpine, I think, last week. Now he's in the Aston Martin, replacing Nordus, of course, who finished in P5, but unfortunately can't make it here tonight in Qatar. On board with our championship contender of Harry Kane, is looking for a few clean races now after MDJ is in the championship. As you can see, the Harry Kane and the Williams getting out of the way as we make our way now towards turn 4 and turn 5. Can be really difficult corners, but you can see the throttle application just really balanced there. The car well planted as we make our way now towards turn number 6. You can really lose the back end here. It's really easy to lose the back end as you try to get the throttle quickly but at the same time remaining traction as we make our way now towards turn 7 and turn 8. This track is formerly known as a MotoGP track, as the motorbikes do race around here quite a lot since 2004, and it's provided great racing in the category of MotoGP. You should actually see the straight line speeds they do on the straight. It's about 350 kilometers an hour, which is about 230 miles an hour. I'm not quite sure, I'm not even exaggerating. You should go check it out yourself, because obviously a MotoGP bike is very fast in a straight line, but obviously not as fast in the corners. But here we are then on board with the Red Bull and Hurricane. His qualifying tactic is to do multiple runs on a set of the same tyres on this soft. So let's see then where his initial lap time will put him. He goes towards the 20s or 21s. It's a 21.1. So Simon is still at the top of the timing sheets, but we know Hurricane likes to run a lot of fuel in the car to go for multiple runs, so we still got the best of Hurricane yet in this session, as majority of drivers then have set a lap time, excluding 4 drivers. Martin, Later, Samit and Langfell are still yet to set a lap time. Oh, Rogue Smithy there just hits the wall as he ran out of fuel too, and still managed to hit the wall. I think Dragon has split both AlphaTauris, or both Red Bulls, sorry. He's put himself into P3 ahead of both Red Bulls, or one of the Red Bulls indeed, of Bahrain. So decent lap time there for Dragon. He's had a few poor results in the past, but let's see what he could do here in Qatar. Can he make up the amends? He's gone 1/10 down in the first sector, so it looks like he's still pushing on, but he loses the back end because the tyres are really hot as well. Tried to go for another run on the same set of soft compound tyres. They just fall apart, unfortunately, for Dragon. I don't think he can find any more lap time, but he is running out of fuel, so we might see him in the pit lane towards the end of this lap. Well, it's a bit null on the track, with not many drivers out there setting a flying lap. We might as well go on board with MDJ now, our championship leader, to try and see what he could do on his next run then. So his second run already, he went out quite early in the first run, and once again in the second run. So MDJ not messing about. Qualifying is not really his forte, but he's turned off his EOS in turn 4 and turn 5, and he's a few hundreds up in the first sector as well. So decent first sector there for MDJ. The back of the car a bit tail happy as we make our way now towards turn number 7 we go. Can be a bit of a tricky corner here, especially in the exit. It's so easy to run out wide, especially in the race where you carry so much fuel as well, and the tyres are screaming as we make our way now towards this left-hander. Just open up the corner, back on the throttle immediately, and no signs of the back end stepping out as we make our way now towards the triple right-hander, my favourite section. Just keep the throttle pinned. Look at that, 3/10 up in the middle sector is MDJ. Can he keep it up as we make our way now towards the left-hander? Let's see what he can do. Downshift into 6th gear we go, slide up on the brake, on the throttle immediately. Very close to track limit warnings there is MDJ. No room whatsoever left given as we make our way out of the final corner, which can be quite difficult as well, especially when the tyres are quite hot. And now we're making our way towards the line for MDJ. He crosses the line now to go into P4. A decent lap time there from the Dutchman, and unfortunately for him, he is behind his championship contenders of Bahrain and Hurricane, and he's still out there going for multiple runs on that same set of the soft compound tyres. Simon, however, he's 600s up currently in the first sector. He said to me that he doesn't really feel confident around here because he's not done much practice. He only stepped in for Nordus at the very last second. So considering that, he's done a fantastic job, but unfortunately just invalidated as I said that. I think Martin there's got up into P6, which he has in the Mercedes. We usually see Martin just outside the top 10 there, fighting for P11, but currently in a worthy 6th place there. So can he keep it up as more drivers will be on their flying laps then? So we've got a majority of drivers, in fact all the drivers are on the circuit then going for a flying lap. Not quite sure who to keep an eye on here, as both Red Bulls go for multiple runs, as Hurricane started there once again, and Bahrain is in the pit lane. Let's see who is the closest man to set a flying lap. Hurricane though. Wow, what a lap time from Hurricane, a 20.7 on 3-lap old soft compound tyres. On his brand new set of soft compound tyres, I cannot wait to see what lap time he can do. Can he get close to me with a 20.3 or 20.2? It's definitely one of those two that is set in the qualifying, but Laser puts himself up into P3. The man is looking for a podium since the 3rd race of the season. He's been so close, but yet so far. But I've got to give credit to Laser though. His consistency has been very good in terms of finishing inside the top 5. Consistency is there, but he's just too far away from a podium, unfortunately for him. And Laser, talk about him, he won the Qatar Grand Prix last season as well, so maybe he's still got some experience around here that he could give around this circuit and try and get himself back to the top step. as he won the championship last season, the defending champion of course, but unfortunately it's quite unlikely. I did say I was going to be the championship standings, but obviously there's a lot of action flurrying on the circuit as all the drivers are circulating around this track, as majority of them are heading off into the pit lane. Adams, who goes into P7 then, he replaces Glock for the remainder of the season, and he's been a very handy reserve driver too, must be said, always finishing inside the top 10 as well. Maybe not lost time in China, but it is a very difficult track. It is the Chinese Grand Prix. And of course we saw Harry Kane, who won the Chinese Grand Prix by the skin of his teeth by 1.5 seconds. If there was one more lap, Harry Kane would have got a puncher, because he said his tyres were about 85% or 90%. I'm not even sure what he said, but it was so close to a puncher territory there. Sammy puts himself up into P9 in the Alpine. Let's see what Ramavaj could do. It was so close to a podium back in China. He put on the medium compound tyres, I think he did, but unfortunately got pipped at the end by Berimi, who finished on the podium and beat him. And here is Ramavaj, but I don't think he's on a representative lap time. He's definitely not now, because he's just invalidated. So off into the pit lane he goes. But whilst it's a bit of a null on the track, we'll go and read the championship standings, shall we? As you can see, Ramavaj almost hit the pit lane entry like Rose Smithy did. I think Rose Smithy's out on the circuit, so let's go on board with him to see what he's doing there. He's 1.8 seconds down. I think he's just finished a lap to go into P10. Has the Canadian Scouts up, he spins and hits the wall. That's on his in lap as well, because you can see he's running out of fuel. So Rogue Smithy there, very close to losing a wheel. He hasn't even lost an end plate, I don't think. Has he lost an end plate? I can't quite see. Yes, he has. He's lost an end plate, so that's very lucky there not to lose a wheel with the impact in the wall. But he lost traction coming out that corner, did Rogue Smithy. We've got 4 minutes left to go in qualifying then. And whilst majority of drivers are in the pit lane, we'll finally read the championship standings out, shall we? So MDJ currently leads Harry Kane by 21 points with about 4 races left to go, or 5 including this one, so very close to the championship standings. Berimi is 5 points behind Harry Kane on 290. Laser is currently in P4 with 257. Draugen 190 in P5. Ramavaj is closing in on Draugen too, so that could be a very good fight to watch there between those guys. Martin currently in P7, who is only about 9 points away from Ramavaj. And we've got Mackie, who's in 8th, with Langfell starting to creep up in the championship standings, along with Noldus as well. Langfell and Noldus doing a really good job this season, consistently finishing inside the top 10. Noldus, his best result so far has been P5 in the Chinese Grand Prix. We all know the Norwegian driver of Noldus has been improving ever since the Brazilian Grand Prix, when he started to show his pace. He was close to a podium back in China, but his wet weather pace wasn't quite strong enough to hold off the likes of Berimi and Ramavaj too. Just outside the top 10 we've got Samid, who's had good pace this season, but unfortunately has had a few DNFs as well to go with it. Yeah, I don't think he's scored a podium this season. Yeah, he's scored 1 podium this season, Samid has. That was back in the Belgian Grand Prix, so a long way back that podium was scored. But he's had a few DNFs and DNFs as well. DNSs did not start. His best result before then was at the Brazilian Grand Prix. That's when he scored his last podium. He finished second because Berimi just pipped him towards the line to take his first win of the season too. That was such a good race back in Brazil. So we're coming to the near end of qualifying with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on the clock. We've got a few drivers there who are cutting the beam rather early and going out there. We've got Berry, who's on the circuit so far. So MDJ currently in a net P5. He needs to finish second to ensure his championship hopes against Harry Kane, because Harry Kane in the last few races has been looking very strong. And MDJ knows that as well, because qualifying is not really MDJ's specialist, it must be said, but in terms of race, that's where he's the strongest at. Sacrificing quality to try and have better race pace as well. But you can see there's a massive queue in that first sector. The Aston Martin is currently leading that queue as well. But Simon, let's mention, Yagamal gets a 5 players grid penalty for illegal blocking. I feared that was going to happen. All these drivers are way too close together. We still got 1 minute and 35 seconds left to go, so I think some drivers should separate, because more penalties will occur in this qualifying session. as they all try to tiptoe out each other's way. I think one of the Mercedes boys is about to start a flying lap. It's Adams then, so on board with the Mercedes driver who replaces Glock, and let's see what he does then as he makes his way towards turn number 1, braking just before the 50-meter board into 4th gear, try and hook the inside line, back in the power immediately, flick it over to the right to open up the corner towards turn number 3 here. Very decent exit indeed, very smooth on the power, no signs of the back end stepping out as we continue our way towards turn 4 and turn 5, braking just after the 50-meter board, using all the chock on the outside to gain the maximum amount of time and flicking it in through turn number 5. Here we go. Turn 6. This can be a bit of a difficult corner in terms of traction there. It's very easy to lose the back of the car, proven by Rogue Smithy. The back of the car just wanders a bit, but nothing too significant to hinder his lap time. Let's see what he does then. A bit of understeer going through turn 7, 8 and turn 9 here. Flick it out. It should be a fast speed corner. Flat out through here. He doesn't really use the full extent of the track, does Adams, but uses all the chock on the outside. He could have gone a bit more wider to carry more speed through the corner, and let's see what he does in this middle sector. Only a few hundreds up for Adams then. Will that promote him up to P6? That was very close to track limit violations there for Adams there. As we make our way now towards the left-hander, there's a slide up on the brake, back on the throttle, the back of the car looks like it was wandering just a bit there, but both Mercedes in P7 and P8 so far. 5 seconds left to go in qualifying. Every single driver is on the circuit. MDJ just barely made it through with about a few seconds left to spare. Here comes Adams as he crosses the line now. It's a 21.0 and he goes into P3. What a lap time there. Here comes Martin. Martin unfortunately has invalidated his lap time. Next driver to cross the line is the McLaren. That is Laser Lord. We'll go on board with him right now. Here he is in the McLaren. What's it going to be for him as he crosses the line? It's P2 with a 20.9, 2/10 away from Hurricane. And AlphaTauri Burmeister has got into the pit lane. Next driver to cross the line is the Red Bull. Is that Berimi? Yes, it is. Look at that. Almost 3/10 up in the final sector there. He's of course his best lap time on 3-lap old soft compound tyres, so there's still plenty more improvement to come from the Red Bull driver. He makes his way now towards the line. It's going to be a 20.8. It makes it a Red Bull 1-2. Behind us is a Ferrari driver. Let's see who that is as he makes his way now towards the line. He stays in P17 as Simon puts his car onto pole position. One by one they cross the line. Where's Hurricane? He's currently 2/10 up in the middle sector. There's 2 cars close together. I think that's Rogue Smithy behind an AlphaTauri, so that's not ideal for them. Look at that. You can see there the Williams and the AlphaTauri very close together as Hurricane makes his way towards the line. What's it going to be? And look at that. Rogue Smithy goes into P3 now as crosses the line goes Simon into 8th. Where is MDJ? Only 7th. MDJ is only in 7th place. Wow, it's going to be a long race from there, especially with DRS train. He's got a lot of work to do, has MDJ. But so far, advantage Red Bull. And look at Rogue Smithy, another great qualifying once again. Bearing in mind, he was right behind an AlphaTauri. Yeah, it was Draugen. So, could Rogue Smithy have had a bit more time if he wasn't stuck behind an AlphaTauri? I'm not quite sure. Did they hinder each other? But certainly, Rogue Smithy got a great slipstream down that main straight. And what a qualifier session. Shout out to Simon in P2. What a lap time. Great stuff indeed there from all 19 drivers. Oh, why does this game do this? It's AI that picked up a penalty for Langfell. I think there is a definite restart because that is such an unfair penalty for TNR Langfell out of his control in AI mode. But one by one they cross the line. And it was such a great moment there as Hurricane then takes pole by 2/10 ahead of Simon. Rogue Smithy in P3 in the Williams there. Berimi in 4th place. Look at the gaps as well. Not much separated between these guys. A Laser 5th place ahead of Draugen. Samid in P9 with MDJ in P7. And it's all Scotsmen P9 and P10, 5th row for them. Langfell in P11 ahead of Lord Daddyboy. Martin in 13th place. He validated his last lap. Jagermal will start 14th ahead of his teammate Smoke. Both Hassers qualified inside the top 10 a few races ago, consistently, but unfortunately they're both outside the top 10. JDM in 16th ahead of Burmeister, Xenom in 18th, and Sonic Hawk who will start in last place. What a qualified session indeed. Action packed around here in Qatar, but we're gonna see how the race unfolds. I actually forgot how many laps around Qatar because I raced here twice in 1 week, and also I commentated for Qatar as well the week after, so I should know how many laps there are around here. Don't want to guess to embarrass myself, but yeah, what a qualified session that was. And MDJ had only 3 seconds left to spare That was so close. MDJ had to get a lap in, and it's only P7 for him. I'm not quite sure if I saw him go out wide into the last corner, which might have compromised him just a bit. But judging by the previous results, it doesn't seem that Qatar is one of his best tracks. As you can see, we're leaving the session then, boys, so it will be a lobby restart, and I'll leave the session so I get stuck in this lobby. I don't have energy down here with me tonight, or Oliver, so it's just me, myself and I. But thank you for those people who are watching back at home. Hopefully you all enjoying this action. Like and subscribe to SFR. Road to 700 subscribers. I think it's going to be a very close action-packed race, you know. With the DRS trains, there really is one DRS zone around here, which is obviously the main straight. And the track limits violations are going to go through the roof like it was in Austria back in 2023, where so many drivers picked up so many track limit warnings. It's one of those tracks where I'm afraid a lot of drivers will pick up penalties, but those who don't pick up penalties could find themselves catapulting up the order. I'm quite consistent now with not picking up any penalties, so I've not really had a penalty around here for a long time. But consistency is key, literally, around here. With flat out corners, high speed sections. Because see a safety car come into play as well around here, it's quite easy to spin out and crash with the traction zones. Right, so I'm joining the lobby, and while we've got this quiet time to ourselves, I'm going to reiterate the championship standings for you. So, currently MDJ leads by 21 points, MDJ 316, Hurricane 295. Bearing is 5 points away from Hurricane and is 290. Laser theoretically, I think he's in this championship fight. It's 257 for him. I think the top 4 in the championship fight. Dragon's in 5th place with 190. With Ramavaj right behind him too. We know Ramavaj can pick up a few podiums now and then. He's had 6 this season, has Ramavaj. Martin in P7 then, with 163 points. Followed by Mackie in 8th. Langfell creeping into the top 10 in 9th place. Nordis as well, with his great form recently, in 10th place. Samid in 11th, 1 point ahead by Yagamal, so keeping out of the battle for P11 as well. With Lord Danny Boy in 30th place. Adams in 14th there. He had a great qualified session. Can he score a few more points in the race? Atlas Copa, we haven't seen for a bit so far this season. He was here in China, but only scored 2 points unfortunately for him. Did struggle back in the Chinese Grand Prix with a few spins. And Smoke, 16th place there, but the Haas did join midway through the season, so he's still got plenty to prove here and try and climb up the championship standings as he scored in the double figures. And Rogue Smithy, we all know Rogue Smithy is very quick, but unfortunately his consistency and yeah, we all know what's happened in the races so far. Currently 17th place in the championship with 86 points, but he could score a huge amount of points here in Qatar. Zenum in 80th place. He's had a very difficult season. His best result was back in the Spanish Grand Prix when he finished inside the top 10. But he's had a few DNFs this season. He has really struggled, but I'm actually quite proud of. I'm proud of him for staying in the session, even though he does struggle in league racing. Sonic Hawk is currently last in the championship. Unfortunate for him. He's a reserve driver as well. So in the constructors fight, it's Red Bull who has the advantage, ahead of Williams by over 100 points. So it looks like Red Bull are cemented for first place in the constructors championship. Last season it was McLaren, and McLaren are down to 6th place so far in the championship, 2 points behind Alfa Romeo, which is very interesting indeed. I'm trying to find JDM. Yeah, there he is. He's 90th place in the championship. So yeah, that's why McLaren are currently losing the points to Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri, which is very close in P4 down to P6. P4 to P6, the constructors are separated by 9 points. Yeah, quick mass there, but it wasn't that quick enough, unfortunately. Aston Martin in 7th, but are they on the charge recently with their drivers putting in some good performances. And we've got Simon, who's in P3, I think it is. So Aston Martin could find themselves some more points. Alpine with Samit there. What points are they going to score? They're currently down in P8 in the championship. Are Alpine. We're still waiting for more drivers to join in this session. And Ferrari, who are currently last in the championship, they've had a difficult season so far. Lord Danny Boy and Xenon too. But Makit and Samit, Makit's had a win this season and one podium only. I think that was back at the Austrian Grand Prix. Yes, it was. What a Grand Prix that was as well. It feels like a long time ago, even though it was this season. And also, Samit's also had one podium back at the Brazilian Grand Prix too. All to play for in the Constructors' Championship. Williams versus Mercedes is looking spicy as well. I think Williams have had the upper hand on Mercedes recently, thanks to the departure of Glock. The gap is 13 points between Williams and Mercedes. So Martin and Adams will have to work overtime in this, try and beat Williams, the Constructors, if they can. And I think Laserlord in the McLaren team is relying on JDM to pick up those points, those crucial points, try and boost him up in the championship ahead of AlphaTauri. We all know that I think it is Draugen who's put up some great performances recently so far. He's had a few podiums this season, only one podium this season, surprisingly. That was only the back of the Singapore Grand Prix. I remember him picking up more podiums, has Draugen, so only one, which has been very interesting. But he's been so close to a podium, but finished inside the top 5 in other races too. Hurricanes are the most wins this season, but he's 21 points away from MDJ. MDJ's only had 2 wins this season. Great stuff indeed. So we're waiting for more drivers then to join this lobby, then we can get underway. I hope you guys are entertained, but I'll be back very shortly because I will take a quick break. Yeah, it's a 29 lap race, by the way. Should have known that. Well, looks like somebody's made a big mistake in the lobby order there. I think we should have a lobby restart because obviously this is not the representative. So a few drivers have gone up, some have gone down. I think a lobby restart is coming our way then. We should have a lobby restart because it's unfair for those drivers who qualified high. And also, yeah, all that good work. I think I should leave the session immediately before I get stuck in the screen. So unfortunately we had to take a lobby restart because Martin had a brain lag. It's funny because MDJ was the one that was sorting the lobby out, but he put himself down into P11 from starting in P7, I think. And Harry Kane was in P3, so MDJ there, having a bit of a brain lag, but we move. Mistakes do happen, of course. Probably the pressure is getting to his head. The championship is on the line. A lot of points to lose, a lot of points to be given here in Qatar. Who's got the mental strength here to not pick up a 3-second time penalty, which can make or break your race, and safety cars as well. We're in for a thrilling end towards the championship season. No mistakes on either end for Harry Kane or MDJ, and also for Harry Kane as well. No absences because I think he did miss the Japanese Grand Prix after having to take part in football, so I think he should focus more on SFR than football. But can he make this deficit up? We've got 5 races left to go here. Qatar, Miami, Portugal, Las Vegas and Silverstone, which is the last race of the season then, so this could be a fun few tracks to watch out for. Las Vegas can be very chaotic as well with that back straight. I think it's 1.2 miles, 1.8 kilometers down that back straight headed towards turn 13. And Miami, that twisty Mickey Mouse section could catch a lot of people out, especially me as well. I really do hate that Mickey Mouse section. Not my favourite corner whatsoever, or corners, or track. Literally, I hate the whole track in Miami. The best US track we've got on the calendar is Texas, and that's the classic US track, other than Indianapolis, of course. We've had a lot of US tracks in the past. I think we've had about over 12 of them so far. But now we've got 3 US tracks on the calendar, because I remember F1's organisation, the FIA, was struggling to get a US track on the calendar, but looks like they won't struggle no more. Obviously being owned by Liberty Media, owned by US. Liberty Media as well have also taken over MotoGP, so we'll see how that plays an effect for MotoGP. But I do like the highlights on YouTube and the extended content they do, but sometimes they could go a bit over the top. We all want to see classic circuits on the track, no more street circuits. I think we're all sick and tired of street circuits. I do like Las Vegas though, because I think we all doubted it, didn't we, when it was on the calendar. Obviously we doubted it because it was another US race and we thought it could be another cringe fest, but it turned out to be a decent race so far. Plenty of overtaking and action going on during the race. And that drain cover too for Carlos Sainz in FP1, he got a 10 place grid penalty after starting down in P12. What could it have been if both Ferraris up there in P1 and P2? We won't have Verstappen going up the inside into turn 1, but that's all in the past now. It was quite unfair how Sainz had to serve up a penalty, even though it was the track organisation's fault. Just waiting for an invite for an MDJ, and we can get going once again. Silverstone has always been a classic track, and it's been part of the Formula 1 Championship since 1950 and has always produced some fantastic racing. Without being biased, because obviously I'm from the UK, Silverstone is one of the best tracks on the calendar we've got so far. Even though I don't like to drive it in F1, the actual game, it's always lovely to watch as well. So it turns out everybody was in the lobby except me, so they're all waiting on me, so apologies about that one. Too busy waffling away, as I can see Samid and Lazy inviting me. So, MDJ, hopefully you got it right this time, because a third restart will not pay you any favours. It turns out every single driver was waiting for me, so massive apology about that, guys. Who are we waiting for? Let's have a look, shall we? We're waiting for Mackett, I believe it is. Always waiting for Mackett. He's always on that toilet. We also had some interesting news off season. This season has been better than the actual races this season on track. We've got Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, and Andretti unfortunately not making it to F1, but hopefully they do, because we want to see 11th team on the grid and new competitors. And also Hulkenberg going to Sauber, which is going to be Audi back in 2026. It's going to be very interesting to see which driver they drop. Will it be Bottas or Joe, or both of them? Will they get rid of those two drivers completely and go for Carlos Sainz? Carlos Sainz there is a very handy candidate indeed, and is on the hot seat for teams on everybody's radar so far. Could either be Red Bull, which I can't really quite see, unless of course he replaces Perez. Verstappen is going to stick with Red Bull, there's no doubt about that. What just happened? He could go to Mercedes, but they don't look promising so far. And obviously, Sam has left the session, but it could be an Audi next season, or Sauber. So that means Ollie Behrman will obviously get the Haas seat for next season, which should be very interesting for the rookie driver who did well in Saudi Arabia to finish his P7 ahead of his fellow countrymen, Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton. Adrian Newey as well leaving Red Bull, or allegedly, predicted to leave Red Bull according to a lot of sort of news reports. But once Adrian Newey does leave Red Bull, he can't go to another team immediately. He's going to be on leave for a year, and he might have to come back to 2026. So he can't join another team immediately due to his contract clause. There is a word for it, but I can't quite think of it right now. I'll probably think about it after the race, because I've said it before to other people. I think next year in F1 is going to be very interesting. I still think Red Bull will have the pace, because they won't drop off, because they've still got long-term plans for that Red Bull car, obviously. But 2026 is the one I think we're all looking forward to, with the new regulation changes. And Audi coming in too. Hopefully Andretti get there to get the 11th team on the grid. We've not had more than 10 teams since 2016, when obviously we had Manor, Caterham and HRT, but HRT didn't last long and Caterham went. Then unfortunately Manor Marussia left as well. And what about Logan Sargent? Because obviously Kimi Antonelli could be in a hot seat for the Williams next season. There's a lot of hype around him. I've not really kept up with F2 this season. I'm not quite sure what is going on in that category, whether he's getting the results or not, with Ollie Behrman too. I've not really kept up with F2 since like 2-3 years ago, when he was at his peak, or when I was interested. I remember watching Mick Schumacher, Callum Ilott, Robert Schwartzman going at it, Luca Giotto as well, all those F2 drivers. But hopefully we can get going for this race here in Qatar. First introduced in 2004 for MotoGP. And obviously it came to Formula 1 in 2021 because I think it replaced the Australian Grand Prix as we couldn't race there because of COVID. Then it missed 2022 because we had the World Cup in Qatar. And it makes a return in 2023. Qatar's not a bad track to race on. But obviously the drivers do suffer from heat exhaustion. We saw that last year with multiple drivers struggling to get out of the car. The funny thing was, Lewis Hamilton was the only one that wasn't complaining, and that's because he crashed on lap 1 when Russell and himself got taken out there, trying to go side by side with each other. So Samed is back in the session, and hopefully we can get racing again. I don't know if Samed can put on a setup or not. So I think we've got some more problems going on in the session then. We'll have a look to see. It's always Qatar though, because it's not just this league, it's every single other league. When we race around Qatar, there's always been some issues. I'll wait till the race starts and hopefully we get going for the 29-lap race. Be right back with you boys and girls. I think everybody should restart their games and get back in the session. That's the only way to do it. Not quite sure what is going on, so let me know, chat. Whether it's something to do with MDJ or other people leaving and rejoining, I'm not quite sure, but I really want this race to get going. Once we get going, it should be fine. Let's forget about this. Mistakes happen. We've been consistent quite a lot this week. Well, I mean, this season. So let's just keep it on the low. Let's keep it friendly. Samit says he blames Smithy and his Canadian Wi-Fi. But Samit, do you realise that Rose Smithy is in the UK? He's not. He was born in Canada, but he lives in the UK, so it's not his Canadian Wi-Fi. Formation lap has nothing to do with it, but yeah, those guys are thinking about turning it off. No, Samid, you shut up. Try and get a podium for once, mate, instead of crashing out all the time, Samid. I'm not quite sure if I was supposed to leave the lobby or not. Was I supposed to? He brought his Canadian Wi-Fi with him. Makes sense, but I don't think it's Smithy's fault. To be honest, it's nobody's fault. Let's just, it's all these restarts and lobby restarts. Let's just, get the lobby up, restart the game, get the lobby up, and get cracking at it. And to keep it friendly in the chat, because obviously these things do happen, by the way. We've been consistent every single week so far, but there's always that one little problem. So just try to remind people that there is a solution to these problems, and we all have to keep calm. I know it's so easy to get annoyed at these things, but at the same time, things do happen. We're all human. The game is the game as well, because it's not just us, it's the codemasters as well. I understand from a driver's point of view, it's really frustrating. You just want to get racing because you're in the rhythm and mood. But now, because I'm commentating this, that's why I'm quite calm. I'm just sat on the fence here, wanting to go racing. So the formation lap is on. I was panicking because I was actually looking at my phone and I realised the lobby was about to go off and somebody said no formation lap, so I just rushed back very quickly to see if the race was about to go. So finally we're going to have no lobby restarts and we can get going once again, pardon me, in the background. So hopefully everybody's in the right position. But Hurricane on pole position then. He's on the hard compound tyres, the white wall tyres, which is the optimal strategy around here. Let's have a look at the other tyre comparisons then, as the rest of the grid opt to go for. So only two medium runners, which is both Haas's, P14 and P15. The likeable tyres are the hard compound tyres. The soft's not much of a too bad tyre around here, as I've seen in the past, but it's all about how you can use them and how you can manage them as well in the early stages. This could be a very interesting race. Can MDJ make his way near towards Hurricane? Is this Hurricane's golden opportunity to try and close down the deficit in the championship? Can Berimi also be of help towards Hurricane? They have said they're equal until the last few races, but every single point matters in the championship. They've definitely got the constructors almost secured, but in terms of drivers, that business is still on and very close towards the two drivers, the two Red Bulls. Only 5 points separate Berimi and Hurricane. What can other people do as well? Ramavaj, we also know he's a very good, keen driver to be on the podiums at times. Adams in P10 in the Mercedes there, doing a great job. Let's see what he could do during the race. Langfall can often climb towards the top 10. Yagimal has an often recurrence there in the top 10 as well. We can see all the drivers then heating up their tyres and brakes, ready for the start of this race. It should be very interesting. What's going to happen down at turn 1? Will be any contact? This could be a big points haul for Williams if they outscore Mercedes, because both cars are P3 and in P7, both Mercedes P10 and P13 then, so Williams have the advantage so far in terms of quality positions. Can they transfer it to the race? Does Adams and Martin have the pace there to catch these guys? Rogue Smithy and Martin were fighting a lot during the Chinese Grand Prix, but they're 10 places away from each other. And Rogue Smithy has been disqualified, also has Burmeister as well. You scored a decent result last season, Burmeister, when he raced around here in Qatar. He finished in 6th place in the Haas, scored it down to P17, but the lights are about to go off. We are underway for the Qatar Grand Prix then, as the drivers roar away. Hurricane gets a decent start. He has Simon alongside him, now behind him, further behind. Berimi has jumped to Williams as he tries to go around the outside. Into turn 1 we go. Rosemithy immediately reclaims P3 after going around the outside of Berimi. A very neat move indeed. Also, Jargon puts himself up into P5 ahead of Laser Lord. DJ stays where he is. Both Mercedes and Alfa Romeo scrapping away in the background there. Here we are around the outside, into 4 and into 5. Laser going to get squeezed out because there's no room over there to go side by side. What about down in turn 6 though? Nothing to be said about that one, of course. But here is Salmon up the inside of Adams. Adams gets better traction out of the corner as they continue their fight down into turn 7. Both drivers there trying to be late on the brakes, stay ahead of each other, but Adams does have the advantage. However, both Hassers, one has made up places, the other's dropped, and Salmon there is still sticking with the Mercedes, but has to yield for the time being then as he's down into P10. I do believe he's lost one place, has Salmon in the Scots in the Alpine there. But Sonic Hawk has had a spin early doors in this race then. So not good for the Aston Martin there, but for the other Aston Martin, it's looking very good indeed there for Simon. He hasn't had a lot of practice around here in Qatar, but he's still sticking at the back of Hurricane, as will be a massive DRS train then. So a clean start for majority of drivers, nothing too dramatic, but unfortunately Sonic Hawk had a spin and he's down into last place. But here we are then, running off lap 1 into 2. Hurricane still leads ahead of Simon. Simon in his rear wing looking for Rogue Smithy to anticipate what he does. Down the inside goes our former championship rivals of Laser and MDJ. Laser just stays ahead for the time being as we flick our way through towards turn 2 and in turn 3. MDJ tried to go down the inside but wasn't fully alongside enough. What about turn 4 and turn 5? Not close enough to try and make an impact there. But DRS will be enabled. He'll be stuck in that DRS train if he can't make any moves in the opening stages. as the Alfa Romeo of Ramovaj is looking behind him to see what Adams does as well in the Mercedes, followed by Samid. But both Hassas there not really making up the ground they wanted on those medium compound tyres. But Yagamal has made about 3 places, I think he has. But MDJ has made a critical mistake. And where was that? Was the exit of turn 8 there? Did he lose the back of the car? And now he's dropped himself into P9. This is huge consequences for the championship. He did struggle here last season in Qatar, and once again it's proven to be a difficult circuit. He might have exceeded track limits already. Into that triple right-hander we go. He's down into P9, and critically, the Mercedes ahead of him in the constructors fight is in P8 then. So it's not looking good for MDJ so far, but we've still got plenty of laps to go in this race. Anything can happen. However, Hurricane trying to break the DRS immediately away from Simon. Simon's just holding in there. You can see the battery being used for the Aston Martin driver, trying to get himself closer towards that 1 second range of DRS. Roguesmithy has done a great job so far, staying in P2. More yellow flags. That's unfortunately Sonic Cork has gone for a spin at the exit of that fast left-hander there. Yes, I don't know the corner names. I have forgotten already. But I'll try and remind myself. Usually I'm quite good with corner names, but in Qatar it does get a bit confusing sometimes. But as we on lap 3, the DRS is enabled. Only one DRS zone around here. And the Alfa Romeo Ramovaj exploring track limits, the exit of turn 4, turn 5. Oh, look at that, the back of the car just stepping out, going into turn 6 there. Maybe the rear end is locking up. Might have to adjust his brake bias as well. But Hurricane still leading the lead then, ahead of Simon. Simon did a great job for Aston Martin. This is going to be a huge bunch of points there for the Aston Martin team, and I'm pretty sure Noldes will be very happy about that too, in terms of the constructors fight. However, Adams is off the track there, and we're very careful not to do it more than twice, otherwise we'll pick himself up a 3 second time penalty. That's the exit of turn 11 there. A very easy corner to lose the back of the car. You carried a lot of speed to the corner, but the tyres can't live with it, of course, with heavy fuel around here. And plus, talk about fuel, it is very easy to lose fuel around here. You burn off so much because you're always on the power, on the throttle, 90% of the time on the lap. Not quite sure what the accuracy is about that one. But Simon then has been dropped as Sonic Cork, unfortunately, not having a good time out there in Qatar. But looks like Simon then will be a massive pressure now, because Hurricane has broke away from this DRS train, and MDJ in the Williams has overtaken Adams, but they're going to go side by side again in turn 2 and turn 3. But MDJ they go around the outside, so decent move there for MDJ. Next target is Ramovaj. But this is very critical now in this race, because now Hurricane's broke free from this DRS train. He can start to control his own pace to try and pull away now. With his pure pace he has in that Red Bull, he might not be seen throughout the whole race unless a safety car comes out of course. And he's been free, but also Burmeister's had struggles there. That's the exit of turn number 5, headed to turn 6, has had a spin. Quite an unusual place to spin there. Usually it's on the exit of turn 6, whether he was losing the back end going into turn 4 and 5, which might make sense indeed. But you can see that Simon under massive pressure because he does not have the DRS, and he's got Roguesmithy right behind him too. This is a big shot for Roguesmithy to get on the podium here in Qatar. His other chances were back in Saudi Arabia and also in Monza. But as we make our way now towards the final corner, Roguesmithy might set himself up to overtake Simon for P2. There's nothing Simon could do whatsoever around here to try and defend Roguesmithy. And there he is, the Williams immediately gets alongside the Aston Martin before turn 1, and here comes Berry. He might fancy a piece of the action. He does, and he puts himself up into P3 ahead of Simon. Simon's used a lot of battery too for good measure, so he's drained a lot of ERS trying to get in close range of Hurricane. But it's just so difficult to try and save ERS around here, so it might affect him throughout the whole race. As Burmeister has retired in the pit lane, then unfortunately that's him gone out of the race. So 18 drivers left in the session, and MDJ there is dangerously close, dropping outside the 1 second range of DRS. The reason why he's down in PA because he did struggle at the exit there of turn number 9, I believe it was. So as we head into this right-hander we go, you can be very careful when applying the throttle around here because it's so easy to lose the back of the car. As Sonic Hall gets a 3 second time penalty as well. He's currently down in 18th place, but still running out there. Do you know what? I'm quite surprised, because I'm surprised that more drivers around here haven't picked up 3 second time penalties. I know it's only lap 5, but you'll be surprised how many people pick up penalties during this Grand Prix. And here is Laser, they're trying to put some pressure on Jargon. He's putting pressure there on the Aston Martin of Simon. So it looks like he's starting to lose a bit of pace, is Simon there. You can see the Berimi and Rogue Smith started to pull away a bit from the Aston Martin. But the Aston Martin, we know, doesn't have a lot of battery to use, so he's going to be very careful when to apply it, and be very tactical as well. And here comes Draugen then. Let's see if he goes for it. Oh, that was a late move there, but look at this. Berimi goes up into P2 ahead of Rogue Smith. It's a Red Bull 1-2 so far, but Draugen is side by side with Simon, but that battle has ended as Draugen gets ahead of the Aston Martin then. But Rogue Smithy fancies the chance to go back in the Red Bull at turn 3. But at the same time, yeah, he's been very wise there, being very tactical indeed, not trying to risk it too much in these opening stages of the Grand Prix. You just want to follow in that DRS train and try and save battery as well before we head off into the pit lanes, as Jagemal has unfortunately left the session. But Hurricane so far is all alone as Lankfar makes a place due to the expense of Jagemal's disconnection. So everybody who was behind Jagemal will gain a free place. But it looks like the battle for P2 then is what we're going to be watching, as Hurricane will continuously check out, and this is going to be very good for him in terms of the Drivers' Championship. DJ will be on the fence here. His championship is not looking secure. He said he was not worried about Hurricane at all during the championship, but I think he has got a lot to worry about now, as Laser there is under pressure from Ramavaj as we flick it in towards the left-hander of turn 15, heading towards the final corner, turn 16. The DRS line is there. So P2 downwards then towards P12. Martin is last in this DRS train in 12th place. As we make our way now onto lap 7 at the Grand Prix. Here comes Laser, but further ahead, Rose Smithy and Berimi exchanging places as the Williams driver goes up into P2. Last time these two were together, as further behind Simon is under pressure from Laser. So it looks like Simon is starting to slip backwards after a great qualifying performance. Here he is. And look at that, there's an AlphaTauri Draugen there who is about to overtake the Red Bull, but thinks wisely of it, as Laser does exceed track limits there and goes off the track. But he makes the overtake in the process though, as Simon is demoted down to P6. So it looks like his race pace is not working out, unfortunately, for Simon, whether it's a set up issue or he's just struggling around here. He's done it around Qatar. Simon's there, just got to stick within the DRS range of the remaining drivers. He's quite low on battery as well, so it could be very tactical when to use the battery for Simon. Try sticking with the DRS range around there, try and regenerate some of that lost battery too, as Ramavaj will be putting the Aston Martin under pressure soonly. Soonly, that's not even a word. Shortly, there we go. It's been a long day, guys. A very long day, of course, at work. But here we are then, in towards turn 15 we go. Simon there just going up a bit wide, but doesn't exceed track limits then. But the race leader Hurricane has got a 3.4 second gap. That was a dream start for Hurricane to break the DRS train immediately, and I don't think he'll be caught from there. But the battle for P2 is looking very hot and interesting. Here we are with Rogue Smithy. Berimi gets past him. It's the 3 best on the straight. Here comes Draugen too, as Draugen might take on Berimi, but he sticks behind him for the time being. The Aston Martin Simon is defended from Ramavaj, but Ramavaj can't get past still, and he's still in the back of the Aston Martin there. So great defending there for Simon. He is deep. Oh, that's the Mercedes in the background. He's gone for a spin, and he's out of the race. Adams has crashed, and a safety car has been deployed. Wow. I'm really sorry for Adams about that one, of course, but there is the Mercedes crashing at the exit of turn 3. Jagemal has joined, and I bet he believes there's a safety car too to back these fields up. You know what? That's a great timing though for Jagemal on the safety car, because he's on the medium compound tyres, so is his Haas teammate. I think it could be a two-shot strategy, because I don't think the mediums could go towards the end. Let's say if the safety car comes in at lap 10 or 11, that's about 17-18 laps to go on the mediums, and that's a very long stint indeed. I don't think the guys in the hard compound tyres can make it towards the end of the Grand Prix, so it could be a two-shot strategy. Oh, Jagemal is in the wall! And I think he just joined back the session and took control of his AI car and slammed on the live pedal. But Jagemal was very lucky there not to hit the wall and lose his tyre. But I think Smoke and Jagemal are in the best position, because they can go on the hard compound tyre and potentially take them towards the end of the Grand Prix. So keep an eye on Haas. However, everybody in the pit lane to go on the medium tyres, maybe a soft tyre could be thrown into the mix to try and get the grippiest middle stint. But Red Bull have to double stack, unfortunately, for those guys. Berimi have to suffer for that, And also MDJ has the double stack as well, so these guys on the medium compound tyres, nobody willing to take the soft compound tyres. I think a soft tyre would have been a good choice, you know, to try and get the best grip in the early stages, then go back on the medium compound tyres towards the end. The soft tyres are not too bad of a tyre around here, if you can make them work. But Dragon now is promoted up into P2 thanks to that double stack from Red Bull, bearing me down into P4, Roguesmith into P3. How much positions has MDJ lost gained? Not too many, still in P8 there, so that double stack hasn't really affected him. He's in P8 there, but both Hassers, keep an eye on them because they can take their tyres towards the end. They should have no problems with tyre life. I do believe you could do over 20 laps, but their tyres won't be too great towards the Grand Prix. But I think they have the best advantage so far on the circuit. Can they keep in this DRS train? That's very important for those Hassers now to try and stick within this DRS train. And once those guys on the medium compound tyres pit, you know what? We've seen Harry Kane's tyre management. We saw it back in Singapore. We saw it back in Baku as well. We saw it back in China. He has really good tyre management, which could really help him towards the end of this Grand Prix too. Can he take these medium compound tyres towards the end? Has he got the grip and the setup to do so? I think will there be any conserving to do, because it's not ideal doing a two-stop around here, but the safety car has came out at the wrong time for these hard runners now converted to the medium tyres. Everybody is on the same boat except two Hassers or Solid Hawk in 17th place, because he can join the pack up as well. So it's a level playing field for majority of drivers except both Hassers have a huge advantage in this race. It's a blessing for them, but a headache for other drivers. This could spice things up with a two-stop being thrown into this mix. I can't remember how long these medium tyres can go. They can do about 20 laps, but they'll be off the cliff, won't they? They'll be just destroyed. They'll be absolutely destroyed towards the end of the Grand Prix. Who's got the tyre management as well? I think these guys could make it towards the end. We might see a few people pit because of tyre concerns. But being up and tuck, those tyres will be degraded towards the end of the Grand Prix, dropping off like a stone. But obviously safety cars will help it as well to try and reduce the tyre life. Sonic Hawk has pitted again, although he's on A-lap old hard compound tyres, so that explains why, because he wants a brand new set of mediums to try and catch up with the rest of the field. This safety car could shake things up as well in terms of tyre strategy. Could I be underestimating the tyre life around here in a Qatar? Could be a factor too. Maybe these tyres could make it towards the end. But a bit of conserving will have to be like Harry Kane did back in China, where he took the intermediates for about 14-15 laps and they dropped off dramatically. The tyres were about 90%, but didn't get a puncture towards the end of the Grand Prix. This has completely changed the trajectory for this race. That could spice things up too for good measure. So we're on for a good race around here in Qatar. Harry Kane though, can he break the DRS? Because Dragon's into P2. Simon failed to try and stay within DRS, hence why there was a break-up between the top two there. But does Dragon have the outright pace to try and catch up with Harry Kane? Roguesmith is still on the podium in P3, looking good for him so far. He's been very tactical in terms of fighting, how to defend from Roguesmithy and Bearimy and Dragon. But the two retirements, Burmeister retired in the pit lane. Adams was the one that caused that safety car, and the safety car is in towards the end of this Grand Prix. 19 laps to do on these medium compound tyres, including the safety car laps, so that's about 20 laps on these medium compound tyres. Can they take these tyres towards the Grand Prix? There should be no fuel concerns around here, because the safety car has been deployed. I had a few fuel concerns around here because I didn't put enough fuel in the car, even though there was two virtual safety cars. It wasn't enough to try and save fuel, so it is a killer on fuel because you're on throttle 90% of the time around here in Losail. I was about to say Kota again. But Harry Kane then will lead the safety car away, and when we decide to go, here he is coming towards the final corner. Will he be tactical about this? You can go whenever he wants. The guys behind will have to have cat-like reactions to keep up with him. Very wise indeed, because if he went to the final corner, he'll provide a massive slipstream towards the guys behind, but he's pulled the trigger already, and off he goes then, so he won't be under pressure from Jargon behind, but we could see some moves. Down into turn 1 we go. There's Rogue Smithy alongside Jargon as we head down towards turn 1. Jargon trying to stick around the outside then. Does he have the grip? Does he have the momentum? Yes, he does, and he stays in P2. Great defending there from Jargon. This is what I love about this track as well. Turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3. Side-by-side action all the way through. Jargon there still stays in P2 there. Rogue Smithy tries to take advantage now, but couldn't quite pay it off. Jargon's target is to try and stay in DRS range of Hurricane. Do not let the Red Bull go. Try and stick within his DRS range. This could be a difficult task for Hurricane to pull away, but we've got some midfield action further down the field we go. Sammy's up into P9 ahead of Martin there in the Mercedes. And he puts that Alpine up into 9th place inside that top 10. So only one Mercedes then left in this race, which is Martin. And obviously in terms of constructors, which is very important and critical for the stage of the season. 5 races left to go, including this one. All points to be gained and lost as we look at the speeds they carry through the triple right-hander through turn 12, 13 and 14. Into 15 we go in this left-hander, which can catch a lot of people out. It's a high-speed corner, but the back end of the car can step out quite easily. You can be very careful when you apply the throttle there at the exit of that corner. But as we head on to lap 12, Dragon is still sticking within the DRS range of Hurricane. The gap has gone down to 4 tenths. As you can see, Hurricane sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But here we are then as we make our way through turn 1 and turn 2 we go. I think these guys are now settled into a rhythm, just trying to save tyres as Adams has left the session, unfortunately. Becomes our first retirement on the track, crashing the exit of turn 3 where we are right now, which caused the inevitable safety car to come out. Hence why these guys on the medium compound tyres very early in the race. Not ideal strategy for them, but who can make their tyres last? It's all about tyre management. And in the chat, Mer says GG Dragon, he'll take it today. So bets on Dragon in P2. He's looking for his second podium of the season, is Dragon. Trying to take the win away from Hurricane, but he's been looking very rapid as Hurricane in the Red Bull. He had control in the first half of the race, but his lead had been completely wiped out due to that safety car, and he's unable to break the DRS range away from Dragon too, so might have to suffer being the leader of this DRS train. And Smoke picks up a 3-second time penalty, so the next lap DRS will be enabled. And this is very good news for Jargon to stay with Hurricane in that DRS train. So it was a comfortable lead for Hurricane, but now he's got a lot of work in his hands too with the DRS being in play here. It won't be an easy stint then on the medium compound tyres like he was on the hard compound tyres when he had nobody around him. And no moves being made into turn 1. Yes, there is then with Lord Danny Boy and the Haas there, Smoke, trying to go wheel to wheel. So Lord Danny Boy then has split up the DRS train, and Smoke is on the hard compound tyres, and the hards could go towards the end of this Grand Prix. Watch out for both Hasses as well, because those tyres could be very quick towards the end of the Grand Prix. They will have a big tyre advantage once these mediums start to fade away towards the near end of this stint. Who can make the tyres go towards the end? Who has the best tyre management around here? And who will be the ones that have to suffer doing a 2-stop, which is not ideal because it's a long pit lane loss as well, so it's hard to make with the deficit towards the end of the Grand Prix. But flicking our way through towards the left-hander at turn 11 before we enter the triple right-hander we go. Not a lot of drivers though at this stage of the race have picked up a 3-second time penalty, so consistency has been key for a majority of drivers. As well right on board with Berimi in the Red Bull, our championship contender currently down in P4. Looking to take on the Williams, and Rogue Smithy gets very close to the final corner. Rogue Smithy though is being almost dropped outside this DRS range, but the DRS on this lap will help him. As you can see, the Red Bull are Berimi then closing and closing on the Williams there as he pulls out to go to the right hand side. Better contact made between both drivers, but Berimi then is up into P3 ahead of the Williams. Can he stick in the DRS range of the top two? Williams and Red Bull on a championship fight too for the constructors, but Berimi though is outside the 1 second range of DRS, and if he stays outside of it, it'll be very hard to close in on the top two. Does he have the speed in the corners to try and close in on first and second place? Yes, he does. Then the gap is under a second, which is going to secure him third place and secure him being in this DRS train, as he was almost dropped outside of it. The telemetry there, 67% there for Berimi, so he's still got a lot of battery left to use if he did drop outside the 1 second range of DRS. So far so quiet from these drivers, as you expect in Qatar, a massive DRS train to follow. But for the leader of this Grand Prix, the battle between Dragon and Hurricane will get very spicy indeed. Dragon sitting pretty in P2 there with the helping hand of the DRS2. Where did he start in this race, Dragon? He started down in 6th place, so didn't have the best of qualifying, but his race pace is looking very handy indeed, and could be of course scoring another podium this season and also a race win, which would definitely help AlphaTauri get further up in the Constructors' Championship, which they need, because they're currently behind so far in the championship are AlphaTauri. One AlphaTauri is retired, the other one is on the podium as Jagermal overtakes JDM. Here we are then, both Asses and the McLaren of JDM splitting them both up as he puts that car into P14. So Jagermal 2.1 seconds away from the medium runners. That's not too bad, you know, but gotta make sure he doesn't drop too far away just in case these guys do pit and make the deficit up towards the end of the Grand Prix. Those hard runners will be very, very good towards the end of the Grand Prix. These mediums though will be trash towards the end of the Grand Prix, so we should see that tyre difference in about 10 laps time or so. But as you can see, Hurricane then still under massive pressure from Dragon, not able to break the DRS like he was in that first stint. A bit too wide there to open the corner in turn 11. I don't think he picked up track limit warnings, so he might be safe there, but he went a bit wide, tried to open up the corner, carry the speed through. As we make our way now towards turn 12, 13, 14, downshift there for Dragon. It is flat out in qualifying, but obviously in the race you carry a lot more fuel as well. Very smooth so far from the AlphaTauri man of Dragon in P2. He's not going to attack Hurricane, he's going to wait it out towards the later stage of the Grand Prix to attack him. And we should see some spicy action between Hurricane and Dragon. Sonic Hawk picks up a 3-second time penalty to head up to lap 16 with 13 laps left to go in this race. Can Dragon get his first win of the season? Further behind, I think Ramavaj is shaping up a move. He's a bit too far back though on this occasion to try anything going down into turn 1. As the effect of this DRS train is so difficult to overtake around here, it's very punishing if you're in this middle of the DRS train as JDM and Smoker having a fight, but Smoker spun! And the man who was on the hardcore powered tyres, unfortunately has gone for a spin at turn number 1 there, so not ideal for his race as he's looking to be on the better tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix, trying to make up quite a few positions once these mediums drop off. Martin though in P10 is outside the 1 second range of DRS, as the top 9 then leading the way in this train. Top 9 full of feisty drivers indeed. Simon now doing a great job in P6 because he was dropping off just a bit in the first stint on those hardcore power tyres. It looked like he was struggling dropping back through the field, but it looks like he stabilised that and he's still in P6 though. But Ramavaj is all over the back of his rear wing. Another quick driver out behind him is Ramavaj. It's only Simon's second race this season because he raced in China, but I think he had a spin in China too, which ultimately ruined his race. But he's done a good job so far at Qatar. Jagermal picks up a 3-second time penalty. Will be detrimental towards the end of the Grand Prix too. Watch out for those hard runners at P13. But here we are then, lap 17 out of 29 we go. Look at that. DJ's all over the back of Ramavaj. Ramavaj looking to make a move there as we make our way down into turn 1 we go. DJ has to back out for the time being as we go side by side with Simon and Ramavaj. Ramavaj puts himself up into P6 and here comes MDJ. Tries to go around the outside, but Simon he shuts the door and prevents that from happening as we make our way down towards turn 4 and turn 5. You can see on the steering wheel there that the Williams driver FMDJ is very low on battery, so that won't help him whatsoever. You can see Samid is all over the back of him. You can see him derating there already. So MDJ tries to use a lot of EOS. He made a mistake out of turn 6. Is this a great opportunity for Samid to pounce on him? No, it's not though. Too far behind is Samid to make a lunge. But he knows MDJ's low on EOS. He's low on EOS himself. Is Samid, as you can see the steering wheel there on the Alpine. So it'll be a very difficult race there for MDJ to try and close up or try and save some battery. But however, Rogue Smithy now has dropped outside the DRS range. So the top 3, consisting of Red Bull drivers, including Dragon, or fights it out for the win. This is going to be very interesting then. Oh, look at this. Rogue Smithy's pitted. So he's decided to pit. He thinks the tyres won't go towards the end of this Grand Prix. Is that a big brain move there for Rogue Smithy? We're about to find out if this benefits him or not. He went for an early undercut back in Imola, which did benefit him. But towards the end of the Grand Prix, he got caught. Here comes Jargon on Hurricane. Here we are. He was so close down that straight, but wasn't going to make a move though. So he stays in P2. But is this a big boy brain move for Rogue Smithy, realising that the fresher mediums then towards the end of the Grand Prix is the way to go? How much pace on hand will he have in that Williams? Can he make up the deficit if other people don't pit? It all depends if the guys ahead pit or not. He was starting to lose some pace, so he decided to pit and see if that strategy works out for him. He's rejoined down in last place. He's right behind the Ferrari driver of Xenon. Can't afford to be stuck behind him for too long and to waste too much time behind the Ferrari man. But Rogue Smithy should be absolutely rapid. And Laser Lord, unfortunately, has picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. Last year's race winner in P4, trying to look for his first podium since the third race of the season in Hungary. But unfortunately here he's got himself a 3-second time penalty, so his podium chances are unlikely, unless of course other people around him pick up that 3-second time penalty. He's got one driver, Ramiraj, right behind him, a driver you don't want to have behind you at all because he's very rapid. Is the Alfa Romeo driver. There is the top three. Is anybody else thinking about a pit stop? Yes, they are. There is the Williams. There is the Alpine in the pits. MDJ and Samid then. So we've got some more pitters. 11 laps to go in this race. They'll be very quick towards the end of the Grand Prix. Rogue Smithy's got past Xenon as well. Up into P16 he goes. Next target is Sonic Hawk. It should be a big undercut, because the undercut attempt around here is very powerful. So Rogue Smithy should be well clear of Samid and MDJ, although he was ahead of him before the pit stops happened. So I think this lap or next lap is the lap to respond, to go in the pit lane to put on a brand new set of tyres. More drivers tempted by that two-stroke strategy, but we'll see then if anybody else in this train decides to go into the pit lane. Martin picks up a 3-second time penalty. Will these guys try and stick it out there and try and hold on? It is possible for these mediums to go to the end of the Grand Prix. They'll be hanging off the cliff though, so they can be very careful on tyre life towards the end of the Grand Prix. Try not to pick up a puncher. The mediums will be absolutely screaming. Rogue Smithy though, 3.7 seconds behind Smoke. He's got ahead of Sonic Hawk. That's probably down at turn 1. So Rogue Smithy's on the charge up into P13. Next target is Smoke ahead of him. 3.4 seconds is the gap ahead of him. He's absolutely rapid. I dare say, if these guys pit in the top 3, Rogue Smithy will take the lead. And here is Hurricane in the pit lane then to put on a brand new set of medium compound tyres. So it looks like my theory was correct. These tyres won't go towards the end. It's a tyre killer track and also a fuel burning track too. And the Red Bull get to work there as they do their 1.8 second pit stop. Very swift work there for Red Bull as more drivers enter the pit lane. There's the Aston Martin of Simon also in the pit lane. But keep an eye on Rogue Smithy. Where is he going to rejoin in comparison towards the leaders? Here he is, right in that final corner. It's a very long pit lane indeed. He might take the lead of this Grand Prix. Hurricane limited to 60 km an hour in the pit lane. And here he is. There is Hurricane in front of us. But Rogue Smithy does not get the undercut. Hurricane stays in P1 so far. So it's worked out for Hurricane. Got a 2-lap advantage, but although he's gained a massive undercut on Berimi and Dragon then, so he should be cemented for a net P2 for the time being once these guys pit. The question is, can Rogue Smithy stay in Hurricane's DRS range, because it did drop off towards the end of that middle stint there, as we see positions change between MDJ and Sonic Hawk. So I think a pit stop is imminent now between the top 2. They can't afford to stay out there because they're going to have a massive undercut threat from the guys behind. More changes as Simon gets past his teammate. Simon is on the soft compound tyres. So that's a very optimistic stint there on the soft compound tyres. So he should be very rapid now. The fastest driver on the circuit here is Hurricane, trying to go wheel to wheel with the Haas. But this is going to be very painful because you carry a lot of speed in these corners. Your rivals are going very slow. Hurricane's got to be patient then in these slow speed corners. Can't afford to do any mistakes here by tapping the back of the Haas. And it should be an easy move going down into turn 1. He goes side by side with the Haas driver as Hurricane goes around the outside. Rogue Smithy should have it easy too, getting past the Haas. It's so frustrating there because I had the same thing when you catch a driver on older tyres. As we got yellow flags, that's Sonic Hawk who spun in the final corner. Here comes Rogue Smithy for the lead of this Grand Prix as we go down into turn 1. But Hurricane breaks later, stays in P1, goes a bit wide. Rogue Smithy though, trying to go around the outside into turn 2. Can he make it stick? Does he have the grip around the outside? He'll try to go side by side. Into turn 3 we go. I think Hurricane has a slight advantage. You can see Rogue Smithy trying to use his battery. And he has to stay behind him for the time being though. How's Rogue Smithy? Great battle indeed there for the Williams driver. Where is Berimi and Dragon? Berimi has rejoined in, my eyesight's so bad, P9, and there he is right behind the Haas driver of Smoke. And they go wheel to wheel now into turn 7 we go, but it should be an easy move there for Berimi to go around the outside on those medium compound tyres, which it is. What a fascinating race this has been so far. Let's see if Drago responds to this lap. He's got to, because he won't have enough time left before this Grand Prix ends with the laps ticking by. MDJ did not able to undercut Berimi despite being out there 2 laps later. So Berimi did not get undercut by MDJ. But it is very crucial now for Rogue Smithy's race. Has Drago pitted as Ramavaj goes up into P2? So it looks like these guys, first, second and third, are going to stay out. They've got to stay out now. There's no point pitting, because if you pit, you won't have enough time to try and close in your rival. So I think these 3 have pulled the trigger to stay out there. And this is going to be a hunting race towards the end of the Grand Prix. Who has made the right call? Simon and MDJ scrapping away for P10. As we've got multiple strategies going on in the midfield. What was the best decision? We're about to find out towards the end of the Grand Prix. Was the 1-stop the best call to make? Was the 2-stop the best way to go? As Simon there has more grip than the Haas. You should be able to get him into turn 4 and turn 5 surely with the extra tyre advantage on that Aston Martin. Goes up the inside. Although the Haas is fighting it out, but unfortunately the tyre advantage has a massive difference. 3 drivers just went through in turn 4 and turn 5. I felt sorry for Smoke there. But he's on the old hardcore power tyres of course, so we can't do anything about it. So I think the top 3 have committed to staying out there on their tyres. Can Hurricane hunt down Dragon, Ramavaj, Laser and Yagamal? He is right behind JDM. Here he is then in the high speed section. He's actually dropped Rogue Smithy too. But you can see the McLaren there is holding up the Red Bull, which is not going to be ideal for him because Rogue Smithy might be able to get himself back in DRS range. He's really holding up that Red Bull driver behind him. Rogue Smithy might be able to get himself back in DRS range thanks to JDM, his old teammate of course. And once again, Laser and Ramavaj exchanging positions for P2 and P3. This is going to be a thrilling race towards the end. Can Hurricane catch the top 4? Here goes Hurricane on JDM. Rogue Smithy did get DRS. He's quite low on ERS as well. He's got to watch out for Berry right behind him too. But we've got about 6 laps left to go in this race. Plenty of action left to go. Who is going to win? Will it be Dragon? Will it be Ramavaj? Will it be Hurricane? I didn't say Laser's name because he's got a 3-second tyre penalty, but you never know, the guys ahead or around him might pick up a 3-second tyre penalty. And now Rogue Smith is right behind his old teammate of JDM. I think they were both in the AlphaTauri last season. As you can see, Berry there sliding to the corner as he broke late. Going down into turn 6, Rogue Smith is going to be patient with JDM because it's so tempting to go to the inside, but it's so easy to make contact with drivers on older tyres there. You've got to anticipate their speed and try and react very quickly, not tap the back of them. Hurricane's able to pull away. Obviously JDM's got the right to defend, of course, and Berry's right behind Rogue Smithy too, so I've got to watch out for him in the Red Bull. But what's Simon going to do on those soft compound tyres? As Rogue Smithy getting so close to the back of the McLaren driver there. This is so frustrating when you get held up by somebody on older tyres in the high-speed corners. There is no way you can overtake in those high-speed corners. And Laser and Ramavaj once again exchanging positions. Maybe they're trading DRS, knowing that Hurricane's on the way. It could be the best call, you know, to try and trade DRS. But here comes Rogue Smithy on JDM. And also Berry Me too will take advantage of the McLaren. Look at that, it's going to go on the grass on the AstroTurf. Sorry, to try and overtake him, which he made it stick. And he goes up into P7. Not your usual way past drivers, but it still made it work nevertheless. And now he's hunting down Rogue Smithy. It looks like what these guys were fighting for a podium could be unlikely now, because will they catch Dragon, Ramavaj and Laser Lord? And also you never know if these drivers might pick up punches as well. I think Hurricane will not be able to get Dragon. I think he might be able to get P2. I'm not quite sure actually, because he hasn't got really much of a pace advantage. What's the gap towards the leader? Let's have a look while I go on board with Berry to see what happens between himself and Rogue Smithy. So the gap to leader is 15 seconds, I don't think he can catch 15 seconds in 5 laps. But how big of the tyre drop-off will be towards the medium compound tyres, the old medium compound tyres? It'll be a big drop-off. They could be in puncher territory, so they might be very slow towards the end of the Grand Prix, trying not to get a puncher. This is going to be so interesting. Has Dragon made the right call to stay out there on the medium compound tyres? And Berimi now putting pressure on Rogue Smithy ahead of us. Further behind in the background, we can see JDM defending from Simon. As we round off the final corner, Berimi will have the DRS open. I don't think Rogue Smithy will have an answer, because this straight is very long with the DRS. There's no way that he can keep Berimi at bay. And he puts himself up into 7th place, or 6th place, sorry, as the timing screens did update. But here we are then with the Williams and Simon going side by side, but Simon's on the soft compound tyres, of course, so the extra grip on those tyres. So I thought Hurricane was in a position to win this Grand Prix at the early stints, but it could swing towards Dragon's way. Hurricane's getting about 1.1 seconds in the last lap, but he needs to find way more time than that if he wants to get towards Dragon. This could be Laser's first podium of the season though, because the gap between himself and Hurricane is about 10 seconds. Can he catch 10 seconds in 4 laps? Anything can happen. But I think the victory will go towards Dragon's way. The only way Dragon will get a victory if he gets a puncher. I can't see Hurricane catching the top 4. P3 will have 5.5 seconds behind P2. Oh yeah, I see what you mean now with that penalty. But yes, I don't think there's no way Hurricane can catch Dragon unless he gets a puncher, of course. But we've seen miracles happen here in SFR China last week, where Daniel predicted it right with 1.5 seconds between Hurricane and MDJ, of course. But on board with Hurricane, our championship leader, or rival, sorry, is right behind the Haasman. But the Haasman has probably used his battery charge to try and defend there. Is Hurricane close enough to make a move into turn 1? Will he risk it? Yes, he will, up the inside. It's a very late move indeed. Trying to scare the Haas there. He doesn't want to waste any time behind the Haas, knowing he could lose time towards his rival as he goes up into P4. So Laser does have a 3-second time penalty, so bear that in mind. So the gap is about 9.7 seconds towards Laser, if I use my maths right on that occasion. Getting confused there with the timing boards. Do you know what? I've been commentating for 5 years, and on the right hand side of my screen, I still not be able to figure out anything. But there is the interval, then the gap between those guys. The gap is about... I was well off there one time. My math is absolutely shocking. So the gap's 4 seconds between Hurricane and Laser if you include his time penalty. So Hurricane could still be on the podium for P3, but Laser will be absolutely desperate to keep P3. He'll be wishing that Hurricane picks himself up a 3-second time penalty, but his podium is not cemented yet. He's still got Hurricane on a charge. With only about 3 laps left to go in the Grand Prix, can Laser finally get a podium since the 3rd race of the season? Ironically, he was chasing Ramovac for the lead, but he couldn't quite do it. Now he's chasing out Ramovac again for P2. But Laser stays behind for the time being. You can see the Red Bull in the distance there of Hurricane hunting them down. So Dragon, I think he's won this Grand Prix. There's absolutely no way that Dragon will be caught by Hurricane. And what if it will be? I think these guys responded to Rogue Smithy by him pitting first. And Simon is right behind Rogue Smithy too, so here he is in the Aston Martin. Those soft compound tyres still looking in good shape in that Aston Martin. Putting pressure there on Rogue Smithy. Usually about now, those soft compound tyres will start fading away, and therefore the advantage will go towards the medium runners. But Hurricane then will get P3 because of Laser's 3-second time penalty. He's got to make sure that he doesn't pick himself up a 3-second time penalty, otherwise have to catch Laser and overtake him on the track. But the AlphaTauri, who called the strategy at the right time. Look at those tyres, 18 lap holes. They don't look pretty, do they, on those medium compound tyres? I was quite nervous of Dragon. Will he get a puncher towards the end of the Grand Prix? I think they're all secured on fuel. They should be okay on fuel. Have a quick peep through. Yep, they're all okay on fuel. Nobody having problems whatsoever on fuel, thanks to the help of the safety car. But I fear for the top 3, will they get themselves a puncher? The best way to not get a puncher is try and stay off the curbs as much as you can, but it's quite impossible because you've got to use the curbs, try and get the best entry speed into corners and out of the corners too. But here we are, look at that, Rogue Smithy got off the track there. You'll be very careful as Rogue Smithy. He was the one that caused all the drivers to go to the pit lane to pit for a second time. But here comes Simon then, with the DRS wide open, puts himself up into P7. And then DJ is right behind too for good measure. So the gap between Hurricane and Laser is 6/10. And it's going to be very close towards the end of the Grand Prix too. But I think Hurricane will definitely have the tyre advantage though, to try and get that deficit down under 3 seconds to try and get himself a podium. But what a strategy call from these guys. But I'm very nervous about their tyres. They don't look pretty, do they, on those on the AlphaTauri. Try and take it steady, Dragon, because he's got a big gap towards Hurricane. So I think in the last lap, just try and keep it steady, because the gap is 8.3 between himself and Dragon. I can feel something's wrong with the car though when you go on board. Look at that, the car doesn't look right when he turns in. He is definitely struggling in those medium compound tyres. Here's Dragon. The amount of energy, the amount of force he has to put in, the minimum steering inputs too, he has to put in the car. He's not carrying a lot of speed to the corners, he can't do it. But on board with Hurricane, he's 1.7 seconds behind Lazy. He won't get him, but he will get him on penalties, so he'll get P3. Hurricane's missed out a victory. He wished that he stayed out there on those old hard compound tyres or medium compound tyres. Yellow flags, and who is that? Who was it? I can't quite tell who it was. It's Mercedes. That's Martin, who has gone for a spin. Rogue Smithy and Simon are fighting out for P7. Here comes MDJ up the inside of Simon, and Rogue Smithy too takes 2 for 1. But I dare say Rogue Smithy made it easier for him because his own teammate championship, fighting for the championship. And Rogue Smithy there defending from Simon. Simon will be happy about that one, but it's tactical racing indeed. I'll look to see what Simon does. He doesn't go for the overtake into turn 4 and turn 5. How are these tyres coping? They look okay for the time being, but it doesn't look comfortable, does it, riding on board with the AlphaTauri? But Hurricane is right behind Laser Lord. You might get Ramovac, you know, with the tyre advantage. Here he is up the inside. Into turn 11 he goes, and he overtakes Laser on the track. Can he get Ramovac for P2? This is going to come down to why Ramovac can't really do much defending because his tyres are relatively old as well. And Simon's overtaken Simon. Simon's gone for a spin, unfortunately for him. He had a great qualifying session, but you're going to drop down the order now. Into P11 he goes. I think Ramovac is okay, unless Hurricane does outdrag him towards the end, because he does have the ERS advantage. But here comes Dragon, slowly making his way towards the line as he wins the Qatar Grand Prix for the first time. Here's Hurricane overtaking Ramovac on the last lap. No, he doesn't! Oh, okay. Did Hurricane slow down once again? Or did they run out of fuel? Because you can see the fuel light flashing there. So he might have run out of fuel, did Hurricane. But Ramovac just took away P2. And the guys at the end survived on those medium compound tyres. What a drive. It looked sketchy every time you rode on board with drivers on all the tyres like Ramovac, Dragon and Laser. The tyres did not look pretty, did they? But what a drive from Dragon. He got his first win of the season. Fantastic. Sorry I wasn't a bit more enthusiastic with that win, but my voice is literally gone. It's hard being a solo commentator. But he fully deserves that Grand Prix win. Great strategy call, great time management, and he got himself his first win. Fantastic Dragon, especially what he needed. Ramovac, a driver who always finds himself on the podium in P2. Fantastic indeed. Hurricane in P3, Laser in P4, yet again missing out on the podium. Look at the gap between Laser and Berimi, only a 10th as well. It must be so frustrating for Laser just being so close to a podium but not able to get there. I do feel for him. But yes, Dragon has won the Grand Prix. Fantastic. I'm really impressed with him. He fully deserves that Grand Prix win. Dragon's shown some great pace this season and he finally gets the Grand Prix win. I was nervous for him because every time I rode on board with him the car just looked very sketchy. Didn't want to turn. It looked like it was about to lose the back of the car all the time every time he drove into the high speed corners. From 6th on the grid to finish in 1st, and Dragon can be very pleased with himself on that one. And the podium interviews as well, so whoever supports Dragon can listen to him. It'll be one happy Norwegian driver, of course. What a race that was. So we'll get the drivers then in the podium interviews. It's a shame for Simon because he had great pace, but I'm not quite sure if he made contact with somebody, which caused him to spin. We were too busy focusing on Hurricane and Ramovac, and I'm trying to get the drivers in the podium interviews to listen to them. Hurricane should have felt like he won, but unfortunately made the wrong strategy call, and Drago had the pace to keep him at bay by 3 seconds as well. Luckily for MDJ, I'm not quite good with mathematics, so I'll keep it to myself. But yeah, Hurricane did not win, so at least MDJ didn't lose a lot of points towards Hurricane. Although he has joined the party, so he wouldn't like me saying that. But Hurricane is in the party to await Dragon's arrival and Ramovac too. It's always a podium for Ramovac every time he races. He always finds himself up there. I don't know how. But we'll wait for Dragon to join the party. It'll be one happy Norwegian driver. This is going to shake things up in the championship though, with 4 races left to go. Next race is at the Miami Grand Prix. So I can't wait to see what happens there. There's a big long straight there, I think over 1 kilometre. So we'll see some overtaking into that final corner. The Mickey Mouse section might catch a lot of people out. It's like the the castle section. Just got to avoid the inside wall. Not quite sure if Ramovac is on his way, and also Dragon. It'll be lovely to hear from Dragon, but it'll make my life easier because my voice is literally about to go. So if he does join, he joins. But Hurricane, we'll interview you first. So, oh mate, it's a shame to miss out like that. But ultimately, the 2-stop strategy did not work in your favour, and unfortunately, you could not get Ramovac or Dragon. I think you ran out of fuel towards the end, didn't you?
Yeah, it was incredible. I think I got like 5 or 6 seconds in 2 laps. I went up the inside of Laser. I don't know if he let me go or yeah, I got easily past, and I thought I had got 2nd place through the last corners, but I didn't think of my fuel because initially under the safety car I thought that I would go the race out on those set of mediums I had, and therefore fueled for going the race out on the old mediums. And naturally on new mediums you can push more, be more on the throttle, and I used more than expected, and yeah, 100 meters for the line I got empty of fuel.
So I think that first safety car, well, the one of those safety car, really cost you because you on your own throughout the majority of the race, and that safety car punched you up. But what made you go into the pit lane? Was it because of others in the pit lane, or did you think that the medium compound tyres would go towards the end?
Yeah, it was a couple of things. I really thought that Smithy would jump me in the pits. And MDJ, I was worried that he would get in front of people and them not getting past, even if they had better tires. So I pitted. It was kind of an impulse decision, and yeah, it didn't work out. But yeah, some people had like 90% on their tires, and if I had taken the more fuel, like 0.05 or something, I would have got 2nd place anyways.
It's a shame to miss out for 2nd place there with the fuel situation, but it looked like it was a guaranteed a win for you in the first stint. But during that safety car where everybody was bunched together, were you surprised that other people did not pit? Did you had in your mind that Drago and Ramovac would pit too?
Yeah, I really thought that everyone would pit, at least after so long time that we know how just 1 lap of difference a tire can make. So I really thought that everyone would pit, and therefore I pit myself, and it worked out. But yeah, I just chose the wrong strategy in the end.
Yeah, it's a shame to miss out, but although, on the flip side, you do gain a lot of points on MDJ, so how does it make you feel?
Yeah, that was the whole point of this race and the next race to come. I don't know how much I would have appreciated a second place to get even more, but now I think there is a chance that I can win the championship, even if he finishes second in a race. And I need to finish first.
Yeah, it's a big chance for you to close in the championship because it looked like he was going towards MDJ's race, but this race, he really did struggle as well. He didn't really gain any positions, but yeah, it was a difficult race for him. So, how are you feeling about the Miami Grand Prix next Tuesday, mate?
Yeah, it's kind of a difficult track, some difficult corners, but yeah, I think we can make a good show, and I think I can perform good there as well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward to it too. And the championship fight will be very spicy now because you get closer and closer towards MDJ. So, good luck to you in the last 4 races, mate. It's a shame you missed out on the win today, but you should be happy for your Norwegian compatriot of Jargon because he got his first for the season.
Yeah, I'm very happy for him. He is usually very quiet. He couldn't make it to the interviews. He had to do something. I don't know what, but yeah, very happy for him. And yeah, hope he can be up there more often from now on.
Yeah, he's only had 1 podium this season. Now he's got 2 with a win, so his confidence will be sky high as well. So yeah, congratulations to him. Did a fantastic job. And we move on to the second place man, Ramovaj. So you chose to go towards in the Grand Prix. Did you think that was the right call at the time? Were you tempted to pit with other people?
No, that was the plan to go to the end on the mediums, and I was just hoping for for them to last. I think I finished on 95% on the front left, so it was really just all down to luck, I think. So yeah, but I'm really happy with it. And also Harry ran out of fuel, I think, up to the line, so I managed to get second, which makes me even more happy.
Yeah, indeed as well. You always manage to find yourself on the podium. This is going to be your 7th podium of the season, if I'm not mistaken. How have you managed to keep consistent with podiums as well? Because you always find yourself up there no matter what.
I don't know. I think it's down to race pace. Generally, I think my race pace is better than qualifying pace, especially in the last few races, because I've started from B12 and last in Imola. So in those Grand Prix, you have to go for sort of an alternative strategy to make up places. But yeah, I think I need to work on my qualifying pace because the race pace is usually there.
Yeah. I think where'd you start? Was it 8th place or 6th?
I think it was 8th. Yeah.
Well, I think it was at 8th place indeed. And were you nervous at all about a puncher towards in the Grand Prix? You must have been very close. Yeah. I think you said 90%, didn't you?
Yeah. From lap 20, I was like, please hold on. Yeah, I was trying to avoid, the curves, but it's really hard to avoid curves around here because if you do, then you're just going to be a lot slower.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said you got to avoid curves, but you can't because that's the quickest way to go around the track, isn't it?
Yeah, I think if I was avoiding them a lot more, then I think Harry would have got me by I don't know, lap 28, maybe at the beginning of lap 29, and also Laser was really fast behind me, so we tried to work together actually for a few laps, but then when he got his penalty, I decided to keep him behind because I went for a lower downforce strategy, so I was struggling a bit in the corners, but I was pretty fast on the straight, so yeah, I think that helped me.
And how are you feeling for the Miami Grand Prix coming next week?
Actually, I've never raced there before, so it's going to be a new experience for me, but anything can happen.
Yeah, indeed. Watch out for child limits around there. Watch out for that Mickey Mouse section because it's so easy to jump over the curb and also hit the inside wall. So I've experienced it myself plenty of times. And it's not a nice track to be racing around. I absolutely despise it.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think it's harder than Qatar for track limits, though, is it?
I find Miami's probably more harder than Qatar. Qatar I find easy. I know it sounds I know it sounds cocky, but at Qatar I do not pick up penalties out there. Not even one morning.
Well, if you get into a rhythm in Qatar, you can go pretty penalty free, I think.
And how close to you were your penalty? Because how many warnings did you have in the race?
I think I picked up my second warning on lap 26 or 25. So before that I was fairly clean. And then I picked up 2 in like 2 laps, and then I was like, oh no, this is not gonna be good. And Harry is coming, and I don't know who else is coming. So yeah, but I managed to hold on, so I was a bit lucky.
I bet the stress and anxiety was unbearable towards the end of the Grand Prix, knowing that a lot of drivers will be heading your way soon.
Yeah, after I saw Harry pop up on the left hand side on the screen, on the display, I don't know what you call it, HUD or something, I kind of knew, because it was around lap 25, that I kind of knew that probably it's only him that's gonna get us, if he's gonna get us. So the anxiety went away because Laser had a penalty, so I was kind of sure that I was gonna get a podium at least if I keep it clean, and luckily I did. Yeah.
I want to say this as well because you look like a very handsome driver. Sorry, you look like a very handy driver to be picking up podiums and podiums and wins occasionally. And do you think next season, when you're a full-time driver, because you're not turned up to all of them, do you think you can be involved in a championship fight too? Because you're always thereabouts.
Well, that's a question for the future. I definitely hope so. I plan to race more. If my time allows me, definitely that's the goal. I like racing with these guys. I think it's a lot of fun, and I like the competition. So yeah, if it's possible, definitely.
Oh, thank you very much as well. You've got more points to be gained because Jalga's ahead of you by 18 points, but obviously he's won the Grand Prix, so he's got more points over you. But in the Drivers' Championship, are you focused about that? Are you bothered where you finish the Drivers' Championship? Are you aiming for anything?
No, not really. I don't know. Haven't really checked it because I miss so much, so many races. So I haven't really checked it. I know I'm not gonna win the championship, so so yeah. I think that's all that matters, the championship, really. So yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You got anything else to say? Because I think I interrupted you.
I don't know. So no worries, mate.
Well, thank you very much for joining me, Harry and Ramavaj. Congratulations to Dragon for his first win of the season, well deserved. Managed to hold on. It looked very sketchy indeed. And also, Ramavaj, I want to talk to you about it as well, about the tyres. Did you feel like they were just going to drop at any point? Because it looked very sketchy on board with you guys. It looks like the car was about to go any minute.
Yeah, all sort of warning lights kept popping up, because, okay, tires at 81%, tires front left is 81%, front right is like 79%, and it was all red and everything, and I was, losing my mind, like, oh my god, when is it gonna pop? So it was tough, yeah. I definitely wasn't in control of the tires from like lap 25 onwards. I was just, trying to push it and see what happens.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, guys, Harry and Ramavaj. And Harry, congratulations on closing down the championship deficit, and good luck to you in the last 4 races, lads.
Thank you.
Right, we'll see you all then for the Miami Grand Prix. Well, this weekend in Miami, and also next Tuesday here in Miami as well at 7:30 for SFR for round number 18. See you all then, and have a good weekend. Hope you all enjoy the race this Sunday. I think we all know who's going to win the Grand Prix anyway.